So welcome everybody. I'm Jean Schieffer, and to my right or your left is Kara Asmus. She's our Workforce Development Director, and then Jessica Bond with the Chamber here. I think our guests of the hour, our presenters, are Jen with Behlen, Jen Miller, and Jen Knowlton with Behlen as well. They have a proposal to share with all of you, and so I think if we could just go around the horn, or actually I'm just going to turn it over to you, Jen. You can start your presentation and then open up the dialogue however you would like to, but we're pleased people are interested.
Sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that works. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So the purpose of today's, I guess, call to action or just we're looking for some help, and we know that it's not a permanent help. We know that we're looking at a seasonal situation that's taking place. So I wanted to give everybody a little bit of background on what's happened and what the impact of COVID-19 has done to Behlen Manufacturing, and most specifically to our business unit, Behlen Country, that makes the farm and ranch equipment. When we have our fiscal year, it starts in November. So November, December, January, we're in the process of building up a whole bunch of inventory, filling the yards out there with finished goods gates, steel stock tanks, the blue poly stock tanks. We've got some tan poly tanks that we're building. We have 3-point equipment. We have some cattle handling equipment, some chutes and stalls and things like that we do. So November, December, January, we're building up product, because on a normal year, when spring hits and we need to get that product to the retail stores, there's not enough capacity to build just what we need this week for customers this week. So we build that inventory, and then we use that to start filling up the retail stores, of which, like, our #1 customer is Tractor Supply. But we do business with Home Depot. We do business with Blaine's Farm and Fleet, which is up in the central US, up north. So about 3,500 to 4,000 different retail stores we're delivering product to. That product typically sits in their outside lot. So again, that's normal. So November, December, January, we did our build. We kind of pulled back a little bit because orders were somewhat light. We didn't want to put too much inventory out into the yards. And coming out of January, we start making our normal spring shipments. Usually at the end of January, we start to really ramp up, and we have a lot of product shipping out to customers. And that typically goes into that February, March, April, May, June time period. And then come July, we start to tether back down. We have a little bit of a pop in September and August that happens for feeder season. So the bale feeders, the hay systems that we make, for people looking to feed livestock, whether it be cattle, horse, goat, all of that. We'll have a pop in that so-called feeder season for ourselves. But this year, as many of you know, COVID-19 happened. So we got into March, and what we thought was normal wasn't normal. The media is blowing up. And here in Nebraska, we really saw that start to hit us about the back end of March, where we had to kind of pump the brakes and say, whoa, what are we doing? And start changing some of the practices internally. Our customers were going through the exact same thing, and we ship nationwide. So we saw everything from some closures to extended hours to decreased hours, only curbside pickup, all that good stuff. Things really started to change rapidly. Come April, there started to be some stay-at-home orders. There started to be shelter in place. We saw small stores, malls shutting down, and the only place you could really go was into a grocery store. But you could also go into a farm and ranch store, hence your Tractor Supply, your Menards, your Home Depot, your Baumgars. You could go into those stores because they carry products for animals. And even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, people don't stop taking care of their animals. And in some cases, maybe they have a small acreage. They've been stuck holding on to those animals longer than normal because they couldn't sell them off. They needed additional products to take care of them. we wrote a lot of letters to legislators within all the states that we have manufacturing plants into, saying, please don't shut down our farm and ranch stores. They need to be able to supply that food for the animals that are in our country as well. Some of our customers, like that Blaine's Farm and Fleet that I mentioned up north, they also have some food items in there. And they were getting wiped out of that normal milk and candy and cereals, the things that they had on their shelves in their stores. So they became essential. This funneled people into those places. And the buying patterns came out of nowhere. People got into these farm and ranch stores and realized they carry so much more than just the farm and ranch type stuff. I mean, I can get my Miranda Lambert boots at Tractor Supply, and there is private labeled gardening things that have famous people's names on them. And there's clothing, there's some grocery items, there's lots of different things for animals. And so they got in there, and ultimately what's happened is they bought themselves some new customers through this whole pandemic. People that never really shopped before in a Tractor Supply are still frequenting them today. The sales on our products at the cash register at like a Tractor Supply store, of which we take care of 600 of them from the Mississippi to the West, are 20 to 30% higher every week, week after week, than they were last year. I mean, these are unprecedented sales. Our backlog typically runs in our Behlen Country division just itself. We typically run with about a $5 million backlog, and we have just under a $25 million backlog. So there is a lot of product that is needed very, very quickly at our customers. And through the month of April and the month of May, it went on in June, and it continued in the month of July. We received more orders in than what we could ship out to customers. They just kept coming in faster and faster. So our goal today is to look at how we can get some seasonal work and create positions within our plant that is seasonal, that'll help us take care of some of the higher demand products and get those faster to our customers before winter sets in and we have no chance at doing a winter build. So really we feel as though we're in a dire situation here. And we know that there is a lot of uncertainty with, I guess I should probably move on to my next one. There's a lot of uncertainty with what's going to happen with unemployment. So really we're asking anybody, it doesn't matter if you're a salon, it doesn't matter if you're a church, it doesn't matter if you're a manufacturer. If you have any employees that you can't keep busy at their full-time rate or even their part-time rate, consider giving them knowledge about this program that we're trying to start. It's an option to put income in the pockets of people in our community and in the surrounding areas. We have flexible hours. Again, on the unemployment, people were getting, if you maxed out in the state of Nebraska, you were getting $440 a week if you got furloughed or laid off. And then the feds kicked in an extra $600. So you could bring home $1,040 a week if you maxed both of those out. That's changing to $440. So I firmly believe people's spending habits have changed based on the added income that they've been bringing in during these uncertain times, because there is a lot of people bringing in more money than what they were making in the workforce. So now there's going to be this gap, and we have a need out here to keep people listed full-time or part-time with their current employer and set up a 3 to 6 month partnership on income, giving them things to do, things they may not know how to do, but we are willing to teach them and train them how to do it. When I first brought this up to Jean, interestingly enough, we knew that ADM has some employees that are out on furlough. So I started talking to Tara Tolley over there at ADM and said, look, how can we help? How can we give your people something to do, but yet they continue to be your people? We don't believe we're going to need them, a year from now. Hopefully not 6 months from now. The sooner we can ship this product, the sooner we can get into a level loaded winter build program over here. So they went ahead, we created the flyer, kind of put some positions and hours and stuff on it, and then they touch base with their furloughed employees every week. And they shared that information with some of those employees starting last week. And from that, we have seen about 5 to 6 of them have applied for a partnership and income position. And they're looking for, in some cases, part-time hours. And in a lot of cases, they're looking for full-time hours so that they can try and earn more than that $440 a week until ADM can bring them back. If they stay with ADM basically full-time through this program, they're going to get additional funds, but ADM is still paying their health care, knowing they have great plans to try and bring them back. And we want them to bring them back. We don't need them, again, like I said, past that 6-month time period. So that's kind of some background on where this came from is we've got this bubble that we've got to get through, and we need to get through it before winter, and we're starting to run out of time. So now we're really just knocking on all doors saying, how can we find some seasonal temporary help to get through this bubble so we can get back to what is a typical normal winter build situation. Some of the positions that we do have available are in the welding. It's staging product up for loads. It's loading them on trucks. Our rotomold is the department that builds the poly tanks, the blue plastic tanks, the fun pools, those sorts of things. Our steel stock tank line, we're also putting an investment in creating a new line that will help us create and make more steel stock tanks each and every week. That put additional positions for first shift and second shift open. And just some overall hot dip mesh galvanizing options, making of the mesh. It's machine operator type positions. Again, it's to help us make the products that we need for our customers. We've got a variety of hours that are available, but I think it's really going to be heavily dependent upon what the person is looking for and trying to meet the need of the hours they have with their family arrangements that they have, and having enough positions on that specified shift to keep everybody going to help us get through that backlog. So that's kind of our song and dance of this is what we're looking for, and we need help. And it doesn't matter whether your people know how to do any of these things. We have a very strong teaching program. We can teach people who've never welded a day in their life how to weld. And that's a skill that they can take back with them to the employer that they currently have. So we're asking for some partnership. We're asking for you to share this information with your employees. If you do share it with your employees, and they can go ahead and apply at behlenmfg.com/careers. And we would like them on the actual application where it says, what position are you applying for? We would like them to put on their partnership on income. That way we can separate them out from our normal everyday hiring practices that we have. And it helps us ensure that we know what your people are doing, and we can continue to build the relationships between us as an employer in this town and other employers in this town. And then I just threw on Jen Knowlton's contact information. Again, Jen is our HR director, and then I'm the president over our Behlen buildings or Behlen Country division. Out at Behlen here, we also have buildings that we make. We have grain bins that we make. Those businesses have been hit by COVID. There's been a little bit of decrease in the capital to put up brand new buildings. There's been some delays on large scale commercial projects, but they're hoping to see that start to turn around here in the next month. They're getting lots of active calls of maybe things getting brought back up and how they can get back out on the job sites. Grain bins are down, very similar case that ADM is up against. Ethanol isn't really moving. There's not a lot of new port activity taking place. So those partners in progress, employees of ours, are moving into other areas to help us manufacture the Behlen Country type products. Any questions? Conversation?
Have you reached out to the Department of Labor as well? Or I didn't know if they're, I guess I should have maybe put a call into Bernie Hansen just to make sure she was aware of this. Just because they do see that influx of people coming through their doors looking for work as well. But I'm assuming they would know it, but Just curious.
Yeah.
They are familiar with our openings. They do watch our website, and we work with them, posting positions and just in general what we're recruiting for, and they've been a good help with that piece of it.
I know Columbus Hydraulics has been furloughing people off and on. It's very sporadic and very temporary, but that would be a good connection for you guys to make as well, to let them know this is an option. I think that
Interestingly enough, with Columbus Hydraulics, we got a few of them come over here, and as they're working through this transition of moving from their old location to their new location, we even looked at putting some jigs in their new building and having their people weld some product. So we've started having some of those types of conversations as well, where they still had so much stuff to do in the move that they kind of wanted to have their people accessible. So again, it's all different types of conversations we're willing to have.
So Janet, oh, sorry.
Nope.
So it sounds like this program is mostly for people on furlough or laid off or whatever the case may be, planning to go back to their regular job. But you would consider people like I talked about, like maybe needing to start part-time and slow and, you know, see how it goes. Would you still, if like we did have a client who wanted to apply, should we still put that partnership on income, or would that be, because you wouldn't necessarily be working with another employer?
Yeah, I think if they're not currently working with another employer, and Jen, let me know if I'm over speaking, but I would guess that would be more through our normal process and just putting on there, you know, part-time to start.
Okay. But you would consider, you know, your hours there, for some of our folks, those are, you know, kind of a 12-hour shift is a little bit too much.
Right.
So would you consider like half that shift or a 4-hour shift, or just, I mean, at least have a conversation? And I understand with production, it may not work.
Right.
But if that's a conversation that that we can have on behalf of our clients, or our clients can have with you, then.
Yep, absolutely.
And then are there any office positions? I do have a couple of folks who would be really great in the office. But I know, again, finding part-time in that area has been very difficult.
Yeah. Jen, do we have, I'm not
We
sure.
have any, I don't think we have any openings right now in the office. I can think of, I know we're looking for a nursing intern, but nothing in the office today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if we take this and share it, if I do another message out to the membership, you know, they could watch the video and hear the story. That's very helpful to understand how you got to this point. I think that would be informational, and if they didn't have the opportunity to ask questions here, then they could certainly give you a call with your contact information.
Absolutely. Well, sounds good. Thank you so much. I have I can send you the PDF, Jean, if you wanted to share that with anybody also, and it's got our contact information on there. Go ahead and give us a holler. We can definitely look at coming and visiting with anybody you want us to, Lynn, and see what opportunities are out there.
And I would still think it's a really good story as far as, you know, wanting to help the community as a whole, you know, businesses doing business with other businesses and helping to support one another through this pandemic. It wouldn't hurt to pitch it to the Telegram or some of our media outlets to say, this is, you know, it's an innovative strategy. That's what businesses had to do, certainly in this pandemic. And this is a unique problem.
Yeah.
But it's also an opportunity, as you said, for some of those farm and ranch stores, you know, to see that influx and that increase. Those have been the exciting parts of watching people at home do their home projects. And then that in turn brings revenue to the landscapers and to the construction and the, you know, the Ace Hardwares of the world. And so it's not, I mean, it's just those surprising stories that you kind of go, well, that's good. They are actually doing well. Or the restaurants that kind of came up with an innovative idea and they actually are doing very well and making it through. That's exciting, and for our community to help one another. That's a great story to tell.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you and I had visited about maybe trying to do a little press release for that. So I might ask for a little bit of help of doing that up. I'm not the best at that piece of things, but maybe we could knock something out fairly quickly and share with them.
Yeah, I'd love to help you with that.
Awesome.
Send me the infographic too, and I will put it on our website to get the word out there.
Awesome. I'll do that.
Well, any other questions or thoughts before we? Do you think with the ADM connection that you've made, is that about what, are some employees still contemplating it, or is that, do you think you've gotten as many employees as you could through their program? No?
No,
I still think we'll get a few more this week.
I do. I think as they're having the one-on-one conversations with all 80 of those people individually, you know, we don't know how many of the 80 this last week also timing didn't work and they weren't able to touch base with them. And so they're trying to redo that again this week. So yeah, I think we're going to continue to see a little bit of a trickle effect of people looking for, okay, what can I do in the meantime? And then hopefully it'll help us with just some temporary help.
Well, there might be a bubble with that extra 600 that I still might be getting for a little bit, couple week period before I start. It dawns on me that, wait a second, you know, maybe I better long term. It's not turning around quite as quickly as I thought.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think everybody had hope that it wasn't going to be as long as it has been. But I mean, honestly, I think all of us are starting to look at what next year is going to look like. You know, we do our strategic planning in July, and it's completely different from what we were thinking earlier this year for next year, and trying to understand how to very, very quickly take care of a demand that is brand new and pops up is going to be a challenge for all of us. But I think if we can come together and try and help each other out, that's the best thing. At the end of the day, we want our people to have money in our community. We want them to continue to have paychecks. We don't want people who can't take care of their families or feed their families. And to me, that's why we call our employees partners in progress. I mean, as we do better, they do better, you know, with our profit sharing and what have you. So I just think it's important to take care of people. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't know that we're actively looking for some things, and they don't know that we will also teach you how to do the job we need you to do.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it reminds me of when I worked at NPPD and we'd have a big outage down at our nuclear power plant. Well, you could hire an INC tech, or you could hire a welder from Virginia or somewhere across, and they would have crews that would travel from nuclear plant to nuclear plant, and they were contracted to do that outage. But at the same time, we saw, when I was at NPP, they'd save money by bringing some of the welders over from, say, Gerald Gentleman Station or from some of our other power plants. And that way they were able to experience a different part of NPPD, a different culture, a new learning skill that then they returned back to their power plant, and they were able to say, hey, they did it this way at Cooper. What if we adopted that practice here? And it was such a good learning and growth for the company as a whole. And this is kind of taking that to the community scale and doing somewhat of the same thing, only you can learn, hey, they did it this way, we're doing it much better over here. You know, you can, all that learning and growth is just good no matter which side of the coin you're on. So great opportunity.
Yep.
Well, very good. Thank you very much for hosting this, and we'll get it out and hopefully go from there. And thanks for everybody for joining us. I know, Dan, I'm going to call you out, Dan. I see your name on there. So thank you very much for joining. If you have any questions.
Want to stay on? Kara, do you want to stay on too to help explain about our Employee Columbus group?
Absolutely.
Do you want that taped? We can certainly tape it.
No, that's nice.
Okay. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.